Let's begin. Hello everybody. Probably feels a little bit weird for everybody, but I'm back, and it's not a morning drive, this is an evening drive. And I've just got a lot on my chest at the moment, and I think if I keep allowing it to build up, it's probably going to get worse, because in my past I've always suffered from bottling up my emotions and feelings and things like that, and now that I'm the new James, I'm the new me, I want to get past it, so I'm going to talk about it in this little episode. Mental health, it still affects me from time to time. There's situations where I'm naturally going to struggle because of some essence of how I felt in the past, or some other things that sort of become like a trigger in a sense. And I think I've actually discovered what one of my triggers are. This weekend I, for the first time in a very, very long time, had a panic attack. And I was sort of in a situation, I was in it was a leave-ins drinks for my girlfriend's, like one of her friends who's like a really good friend. And even though the whole evening was really pleasant, everybody there is just really nice, no one's like giving me a hard time in essence, but there was just a few subjects that were spoken about that were like traumatic for me. And I think this was one of the main things that really sort of it was like a turning point in the night for me, because I've been feeling a little bit low because of my work situation. So you probably noticed that I haven't really been uploading or using my socials for a week or so, which in a big grand scheme of things isn't a long time, but if I want to consistently upload and have my presence available, I should really be trying to be more active in that sense. But that's just a little dig at myself, and something that I can work on. That's not the big issue here. But work has been really hard. They've reduced hours dramatically, and it's putting me in a situation where I'm having to look for somewhere else to work. I've got ideas in my head of what I want to do and where I want to be. It's just having the drive, and when you have setbacks, obviously the drive then it gets reduced a little bit, and other circumstances come up that put you in tight spots, shall we say. So that was something that's been going on in these past few weeks, really, that has probably only just realistically hit me now, because after a few weeks of like not extremely low pay, but pay that's pretty much not going to do anything for me except pay for the bills, it's just putting me in a tight spot. And look, I do still have gratitude, and I know the situation I'm in now is I'm blessed. I am blessed, but there's times where it's hard, and it's undeniable. So anyway, I've been going on loads of tangents here. As you can tell, I've got a lot to say, and a lot of other things come up. But let's get back to the panic attack. So it got onto a touchy subject, which I'm not going to really explain at the moment, purely because it's too personal. But it affects my mental health, and this was something that was brought up in conversation. And as it started happening, as the panic attack started happening, I'll describe all the symptoms. So essentially, I lost feelings in my hands, like the tip of my fingers. It was like pins and needles. My breathing became so difficult, in the sense of like I had to essentially breathe manually just to keep myself going. I then had cold sweats, and my partner's friend, who I was talking to at the time, it was extremely hard to actually follow to the conversation. So I was hanging on for dear life for the last word in the sentence, and then keep the conversation going. And as this was happening, obviously all those other things were going on, and it was getting to the point where I literally couldn't be in that situation. So I had to take myself away and ground myself. And the only way I could do that in a pub was to go to the toilet, just sat down, the feeling came back in my hands. I just had to give myself a pep talk. And it's the first time that those tools have been effective in actually stopping a full-fledged panic attack to the point of passing out, which I've had before, and it's very, very intense. But unfortunately, that sort of made an impact on my night. As you can imagine, it affected me quite badly because it brought back all these other emotions and feelings that was going on, and it just put me in, unfortunately at the time, quite a bad place. And it, in my mind, it became like negatively logical. It's probably a really good way to word it. I couldn't really see any of the positives. I couldn't pull myself out of this rut. So every response that I was giving was negative, or just full of self-doubt, you know. And it happens. It does happen. Like, I used to have that 24/7 for a good few months, and that was one of the hardest things I've had to shake in my life, because you then play out a lot of what ifs, and then in your mind you're like, oh, why am I being this way, blah blah blah. But I've managed to get to the root of it, and using the skills that I've learned through therapy and just living life. I know living life sounds like such a lazy thing to call it, but it's true. Just living my life. Like, that's the only way you can learn and discover and be the person you want to be. But unfortunately, the whole panic attack situation really affected my night, and I was negatively logical. I couldn't pull myself out of this situation, and God bless my girlfriend for being there, because it really did help. Because I had to. After that, we then went to an afters gathering at a club with, you know, extreme overstimulation, people dancing, and dancing has never been my strong point, so that's always been difficult for me. And I could see that my girlfriend was having a really good time as well. So then when I started having these feelings, it was very hard to express them to her, because I didn't want to let her down. But it was it was clear to her how I was feeling, even though I wasn't telling her, and she was really good at working it out and just, you know, telling me to express myself. And I'm so glad she did, because in the end, it was still pretty late. It was like 1 a.m. She wanted to say her goodbyes to a friend who's leaving work, and I respect that, because she managed to do that, which is great to think about, because if I had done that, then that would have probably caused some other issues. So I stuck it out and got home, and, you know, just had to sort of not cry, but just really understand what happened and try it and just come to terms with it. I think I've been repeating myself a little bit at the moment, but again, it's a scattered brain conversation with myself that I need to have. It's just trying to pin all the pieces together and working out what to do and what to say and what's next, because that's something I never really ever thought about, was the what's next, you know. And that's where I'm at now, like, as in, I've conquered this. Yeah, it's caused like a little ripple effect. So the next, like, this happened Friday night, so Saturday, Sunday, and even today I've been having a few funny little turns of just like insecurity and nerves, you know, like being truly nervous, which again, these are all fucking normal feelings and emotions and responses to situations. It's just not letting them get the better of me. So I thought I'd express that in this video. This is a venting session. This is like you're the therapist, and you just got to hear everything that's going on in my mind, you know. And it's really good for me to do this. I truly believe it, and I'm happy to share these with you, because yes, it's personal, but it's just insight, really. And I feel like if there's anything that I've said so far that you feel like you can relate to, just realise you're not alone. And that's something that I've learnt myself, that you're not alone. You're really not. Even in situations where you truly believe you are, you're not. And there's obviously those rules can be broken in some people's lives and situations, like where they genuinely don't have anybody. I'm lucky enough to have a supportive family, wonderful girlfriend, good group of friends, and I have always something like that to fall back onto, which I'm grateful for. And there's some people that don't have that. So there's my gratitude, knowing that I am very lucky to be in this situation. I do apologise. This phone mount is honestly rickety as hell. If you're actually watching this, I apologise. I'd actually recommend listening to this more than just suffering this terrible car mount. But the car sounds good, and you get to see my POV, which is cool, and feel every single speed bump and pothole in the road, because I'm in the UK and we don't like fixing potholes. Ford Ranger. Okay, where was that? So yeah, I just wanted to touch on mental health again, because it's been like, it's not going away, it's not going anywhere. It's knowing what to do, how to respond to it, weighing out the options, and not immediately throwing in the towel. Sorry. And this is the problem I'm having now. It feels like I threw in the towel Friday night, and now I'm having to deal with the fact that I was in a situation where I was genuinely struggling. I couldn't really communicate properly, and it was tough. It was really, really tough, and I've not had that happen in at least over half a year, 6, 7, 8 months, something like that, when I was at my worst. Like summer last year was the worst time in my life, and it was not any outside source that could fix that. I had to deal with that myself. I really had to just work out what the biggest gripes are. I know biggest gripe sounds really cockney, but it's more like the actual genuine issues in my life, and I was what I could weigh out and what I needed to do. And even if they weren't right at the time, it's all about trial and error. So there's a few things that I did that were catastrophic, but then with time I've learned that if that didn't happen, I could still be in a worse place than I was even previously. So you just have to stick it. You have to stick it out. You have to stick it out. I mean, is this going to make sense? Is this going to make sense to anybody who's watching? We'll just have to find out. So this is a new little sort of playlist. You can probably tell that there's something playing on my mind, and I'm still gonna have to deal with it, because you just do. And I'm not. That's not suppressing it. That's me being honest with myself. Like, I could just say there's a problem and then say don't worry about it. But I said don't worry about it for as long as I can remember. And the worrying was so strong that it just overwhelmed me. Now it's like I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve, but not in a bad way. It's like, if something happens, instead of just not doing anything, and I mean like literally doing nothing, and this is something that I've suffered with before, now I get a chance to respond with my own feelings. So having responsibility, there we go. It's almost like I'm having responsibility for the first time. And it's going to take it's going to take a long time to learn that skill, because obviously there was outside sources as well. Like I said, financial situation's difficult, a job with not very good security is difficult, wanting to move out is very difficult. There's factors in my life that I need to work towards instead of letting them beat me up, which they used to do. I used to compare all the time. Comparison is only necessary in sports, not outside life, man, because you will just be eaten up, because there's always going to be someone, I know it's like the cliche, there's always someone better than you. So alright, that's fine. You're always going to be hunting or searching for more if you're trying to be the best. And you're allowed to do that. Of course you're allowed to do that. If there's something that you want to be good at, and you've got the passion and the drive and everything going back to the topic of comparison, I would look at, you know, social media. I know, as we all know, social media is toxic, but it's the place where you get to really, it's almost visceral. You see what people have, even if they don't technically have it. You know, there's people out there who are flexing and, you know, they can't afford it, but that's a whole other mental health issue, you know. But anyway, you compare and then you look at yourself and like what you've done compared to what they've done, and instead of seeing it as inspiration, it used to have the complete opposite effect. It would be to the point of just despair. I'd look at it and just like give up, you know. So now it's about teaching myself the best way to adapt to a situation, how to handle myself, knowing what's right and wrong. So if I was in a difficult situation, like objectively, knowing how to respond to that. If I've put myself in a difficult situation, it's knowing how to respond to that. Yeah, it's just, yeah, I feel like it's really positive. It's a really positive way of approaching a situation that I've never been positive about before. So, anyway, sorry, this has been a very deep talk. I'm using these videos as venting, so feel free to chime in. If you've got anything to say or anything to add, please feel free. This isn't like a cry of like desperation or anything, it's just me being honest and just saying it how it is right now. And it feels good, it does feel good actually. Perspective, it's really putting some perspective on the situation. And knowing that this isn't it, like that's what it used to be as well. Be like, oh, this is it, this is it. I can't do anything else. No, it's not true. I know what I want to do. I know what I can do to work towards it. It's going to be tough. Maybe not just for me, but for my girlfriend as well. Financially, that's always everyone's biggest worry. But we will get there. I think right now it's just focusing on what I can do to achieve the things I need to do. The whole taking it day by day, I don't know how I feel about that anymore. Day by day, in the sense of just grabbing it by the fucking balls, excuse my French, is quite a good thing to do. If you're in a negative headspace like I am at the moment because of what's happened recently, taking it day by day, it just makes the days drag. It just drags because I'm not up to much. I'll be sitting there peacefully or like not saying much and just alone with your thoughts. It's really good to be alone with your thoughts every now and then. Maybe try and make it into your meditation or a weekly thing where you almost check up on yourself. It's a really, really good thing to do. But just don't get lost in there. Don't get lost in there and expect anything good to come out of it. You might discover some new things about yourself, which has been buried deep for a long, long time. So just be aware that that could be good or bad, because who knows how it will affect you if you look at something that's happened to you maybe 10 plus years, your childhood, something like a memory that sits in your mind deep that you can remember like it's yesterday. Those moments can happen, they're quite intense. Just be aware of it. What else can I add? I think that's pretty much wrapped everything up really. Just know that we hit rough patches, whether it's, again, financial, relationships, it's work, it's your mental health, it's your physical health. You have to pursue what's best for you, even if it means cutting ties. So, in my mind, this job, I know, can't be permanent. They've pretty much said, because we're agency, understandably, we're expendable. We're the ones at the bottom of the food chain. They have to look after their own staff. again, as it's everywhere in the news, we know that Royal Mail is struggling. Again, financially, funnily enough. There's a lot of other factors as well. And it's near the end of the tax year, so it's probably like one of the toughest times for a company that's struggling. But I want to pursue something else. I want to learn another skill. This is my second like logistics, like delivery service job, and it's great. It's a really, really good place to work. Really, they understand the workflow. Maybe it might just be my depot, but they understand the workflow. They don't expect too much of you. But if you want to work hard, the tools are there. Only now the money isn't. So it's frustrating. It's hard. But this has given me just that little twinkle, that little piece of energy to be like, do what you want to do, in the sense of try something new. There's been a few jobs that I've had in the back of my mind for a long, long time, and never had the confidence to try and pursue it. And I do have the confidence now. I understand that failure is an option. Also, and when I say failure is an option, it means like don't just give up straight away. If an opportunity comes up and you miss it or you don't get it, you keep going until those opportunities keep coming to you. And that's something I need to start working out in my mind, like knowing that just because there's one, it's like, you know, it's the typical job search stuff. You apply for 50 jobs, let's say, you get 10 possible interviews out of the 50 jobs, and your success rate of getting all 10 jobs might only be a certain percentage. It all depends on how well experienced you are, or how well you do at the interview, if that makes any sense. So you have to, I've just calculated an idea in my head of like, just realise, like, just don't give up. That was my way of telling myself to not give up. So yeah, everybody, don't give up. Content will be around soon. I apologise for this sort of long-winded vent, essentially, but I think it's necessary, and it's given me the motivation to carry on doing what I want to do. So content, I will upload content. I've got ideas. I've got a few things I know some of you will be interested in. Twitch streaming, I went ham with that at the beginning, the first few months. I realise now that I should try and diet down a little bit, so it's not quantity over quality. Thank you again to all of my Patreons and to everybody who has either donated or streamed. Personally, it really does mean a lot, and I'm very much grateful for you guys. And to everybody who watches, I love you all. Feel free to be yourself wherever you want to be, even if it's in the comments. If you feel like this is a space to be who you want to be, go for it. Yeah, I think I'll wrap it up there. This is probably one of the longest. Oh my god, 25 minutes. Incredible. If you made it this far, you know that I love you all. And you all take care now, and I'll see you in the next video.